Every day is an opportunity for growth, yet so many of us find ourselves caught in routines that don't push us forward. We all have goals, dreams, and things we want to improve about ourselves, but often we don't know where to begin or how to make consistent progress. It is easy to get distracted by the noise of daily life and feel like the things that matter most slip through the cracks. This is why it's crucial to focus on specific areas of your life each day. These aren't just random tasks or habits. They're things that, when practiced regularly, will transform your mindset, boost your productivity, and build the discipline necessary to achieve long-term success. In this guide, you'll learn about the 10 essential things you should work on every day. These are not quick fixes or one-time efforts. They are consistent practices that, when done regularly, will help you become the best version of yourself. Each step is simple but powerful. They will help you move past the self-doubt, distractions, and bad habits that hold you back. By the end of this guide, you will understand how to make steady progress toward your goals, build the mindset of someone who keeps improving no matter what, and develop habits that stick. It's all about taking small, consistent steps each day that, over time, add up to meaningful change. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. Chapter 1. Identifying limiting beliefs. There are days when everything feels right, when the world seems to line up perfectly with your goals and aspirations. But then there are other days when you feel stuck, frustrated, or like something is quietly holding you back. You might have big dreams, ambitions, and the desire to improve, but there's this invisible force that feels like it's constantly pulling you down. It's as if there's a wall that you can't see, yet you know it's there, preventing you from moving forward. That wall, more often than not, is made up of the beliefs you hold about yourself and your abilities. The concept of limiting beliefs isn't new. Most of us have heard the phrase before, but we often underestimate just how powerful they can be. These beliefs, no matter how subtle, shape the way we approach life. They are the silent drivers of our decisions, actions, and even the choices we don't make. We all have them to some degree, and they influence our behavior in ways we often don't realize. But here's the thing. These beliefs aren't facts. They are just thoughts that we've accepted as truth over time, many of which we've never questioned. The problem with limiting beliefs is that they make us believe we are incapable of achieving what we desire. They tell us we're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. These beliefs might have formed in childhood, perhaps from a teacher or a parent who unknowingly planted a seed of doubt. Maybe it was a failure or rejection that led you to conclude that you weren't cut out for success. Over time, that seed grew, and now it seems like an undeniable part of who you are. But the truth is, limiting beliefs are just that. Beliefs. They are not unchangeable facts of life. In fact, they are often based on distorted thinking, past experiences, or fears that no longer serve you. If we want to make real progress, we need to identify and challenge these beliefs one by one. It's a process that requires self-awareness and courage. But once you start questioning these beliefs, you'll begin to see a shift. You'll start realizing that the walls that seemed so tall were actually just illusions. Consider for a moment the belief that you aren't good enough. It's a common one. Many of us carry it with us in different forms, but if you take a step back, you'll realize that there's no universal standard for good enough. What does it even mean to be good enough? Is it some fixed point that, once achieved, you'll suddenly become worthy of success, happiness, or fulfillment? The reality is that we are constantly evolving, constantly learning and growing. The idea of good enough is fluid, not fixed. Think about the first time you tried something new. Perhaps it was a job interview, a performance, or even a simple conversation. Chances are you didn't feel good enough before you did it, but after the experience, you gained knowledge, confidence, and perspective. Over time, you became better. You may not have been good enough at first, but with effort, persistence, and learning, you grew into the person who is now capable. The belief that you are not good enough is simply a product of not having had enough practice or exposure to whatever you are trying to achieve. It's a belief that only holds power if you let it. The same goes for the belief that you don't deserve success or happiness. This is another belief that can limit you in ways you might not even realize. It is not uncommon for people to feel like they haven't to earn their success or aren't worthy of their dreams. But the truth is, everyone deserves happiness, success, and fulfillment. You are not defined by your past mistakes, your failures, or the things that didn't work out. You are defined by the actions you take from this point forward. When you start to challenge these limiting beliefs, you might initially feel uncomfortable. It's normal. After all, you've carried these beliefs with you for years, even decades, and they've shaped. The next step in overcoming limiting beliefs is to challenge them directly. Once you identify a belief that's holding you back, don't just accept it, question its validity. Ask yourself, is this belief really true? Where's the evidence? Take a good look at your past experiences and see if they support or contradict the belief. For example, if you believe you're bad with money, think about times when you've managed money well. Maybe you've saved for a big purchase, or maybe you've been able to make smart financial decisions in the past. Those moments prove that you were not inherently bad with money. They just show that you can improve with practice and focus. It's also helpful to reframe the belief. Instead of telling yourself, "I'm terrible with money," reframe it to, "I'm still learning how to manage my finances, but I'm getting better every day." This simple shift in perspective can make a huge difference. You stop seeing yourself as bad or incapable, and start seeing yourself as someone who is on a journey of growth. The same goes for any limiting belief. If you think, "I'm not a good public speaker," try saying, "I'm working on my public speaking skills, and I improve every time I practice." This approach turns a fixed mindset into a growth mindset, which is essential for long-term progress. Perhaps the most powerful way to break free from limiting beliefs is through action. You have to take small steps, even if it's uncomfortable at first. If you believe that you're not good enough to pursue a new career, start by researching the field. Read books, talk to people who are in that field, and take courses. The more you expose yourself to new opportunities, the more you'll see that you're capable of learning and growing. The belief that you were not good enough will gradually fade as you prove to yourself that you can take action, learn, and succeed. This is where the real magic happens. The more you act despite your fears and doubts, the more you realize that you are not defined by your beliefs. You are defined by the actions you take, by your willingness to challenge what's been holding you back. The key to getting better every single day is not just about improving your skills or achieving your goals. It's about changing the way you think, about questioning the beliefs that limit you. The moment you realize that you are not bound by your past or your self-imposed limits, you unlock a new level of potential. And once you start to see that, everything begins to change. The journey to overcoming limiting beliefs isn't always easy, but it is absolutely worth it. Each time you break free from a belief that has held you back, you take a step closer to becoming the person you've always wanted to be. You start to live with purpose, with confidence, and with the belief that you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. As you move forward, remember that you are not your beliefs. You are the person who chooses to act, to learn, and to grow. And with each day, you get better, not because you're good enough, but because you're committed to improving one step at a time. Chapter 2. The Neuroscience of Creativity. The world we live in is full of endless possibilities, yet many of us still find ourselves struggling to unlock our own creative potential. It's almost as if creativity is something reserved for a select few. One of the most powerful tools in unlocking creativity is the ability to shift your mindset. If you see creativity as something rare and unattainable, you'll constantly struggle to tap into it. But if you view it as a skill that anyone can develop, you'll start to approach challenges with curiosity rather than fear. Instead of asking, "What's the right answer?" ask, "What can I discover?" This simple shift in perspective opens up new possibilities and helps you move away from the idea that creativity is something reserved for the lucky few. One of the biggest misconceptions about creativity is that it requires inspiration to get started. People often think that you need to wait for the perfect idea to come to you, and that only then can you start working. But the truth is, creativity is a process, not a moment of inspiration. The key is to build momentum. Start with a small idea, no matter how insignificant it might seem. Often, the act of starting is the hardest part. Once you begin, your brain will naturally start to build on what you've already done, and the creative process will take shape. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to access your creative potential. This is where consistency becomes important. Just like any skill, creativity gets better the more you practice it. Set aside time each day to engage in creative activities, even if you don't feel like it. Some of the most creative breakthroughs happen when you least expect them. Maybe it's in the shower, on a long walk, or just sitting quietly with your thoughts. The point is to create space for creativity to show up. The key to nurturing creativity is also to feed your brain with new experiences and information. The more diverse your experiences, the more connections your brain can make. Read books, explore new hobbies, travel, talk to people with different perspectives. Do anything that expands your mind. Creativity thrives on diversity. When your brain is exposed to new and varied information, it can combine those experiences in unexpected ways. You might also find that working within constraints can enhance your creativity. Having too many choices or an overwhelming sense of possibility can actually stifle creative thinking. On the other hand, working with a specific challenge or a set of limitations can force your brain to think more innovatively. This is why certain creative exercises like brainstorming within a set of rules or creating something out of limited materials can help trigger new ideas. The boundaries don't limit creativity. They actually fuel it. Collaboration is another powerful tool for sparking creativity. When you share ideas with others, you open yourself up to new perspectives and fresh approaches. Collaboration allows you to bounce ideas off one another, get feedback, and see things from angles you might not have considered on your own. Creative collaboration often leads to breakthroughs that wouldn't have been possible in isolation. So don't be afraid to seek out partnerships or ask for feedback. Even if the process feels uncomfortable at first, the results can be incredibly rewarding. Above all, the most important thing you can do to nurture your creativity is to trust the process. Stop worrying about perfection. Stop waiting for the perfect idea and just begin. Creativity isn't about making something flawless. It's about starting where you are, making mistakes, learning from them, and gradually refining your ideas. With each step forward, your creativity will grow. And as it does, you'll find yourself more open to new ideas, more willing to take risks, and more confident in your ability to create something unique. The beauty of creativity is that it's not limited to any one area of life. You can be creative in your job, in your relationships, in your personal development. The first step in disrupting the status quo is understanding that the world around you is shaped by people who dared to be different, people who challenged, accepted norms. Think about the great innovators throughout history, the people who changed the way we live. Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs. None of these individuals took the path of least resistance. They faced setbacks, doubters, and failures, yet they were driven by a belief that something could be different. They saw the potential in what others couldn't see and took steps to bring their vision to life. This mindset is the key to disrupting the status quo in your own life. The willingness to challenge yourself, your assumptions, and your circumstances. It's not about blindly rejecting everything you know, but about questioning it. Ask yourself, is there a better way to do this? Is there something I could try that would push me further? What's the next step that will take me to where I want to be? Disrupting the status quo isn't limited to big, world-changing inventions. It happens on a personal level too. You disrupt the status quo when you decide to improve yourself, when you choose to be better than you were yesterday. Think about the habits that shape your life. How often do you fall into routines that feel safe, but don't actually help you grow? The habit of procrastination, the habit of avoiding challenges, the habit of staying comfortable in a job or relationship that doesn't serve you. These are all ways in which the status quo keeps you stagnant. The key to disrupting your own status quo is to stop accepting things the way they are. Look at your life through a fresh lens, as if you were an outsider observing it. Ask yourself, what could I do today that would push me toward a better version of myself? It could be as simple as waking up an hour earlier to focus on a personal project, saying no to a commitment that doesn't align with your goals, or setting aside time to learn a new skill. These small shifts are the first steps in shaking up the routines that no longer serve you. But disrupting the status quo doesn't just happen by making changes here and there. It requires a mindset shift, a willingness to see the potential for something better, and the courage to go after it. It's easy to be trapped by the belief that you can't do better, that you're not capable, that this is just how things are meant to be. But what if that belief is the thing that's holding you back? What if the real barrier is your own perception of what's possible? The truth is, most of us limit ourselves more than we realize. We impose invisible boundaries on our own potential, believing that certain dreams are too big, too far out of reach. But in reality, many of these limitations are self-imposed. They stem from fears, doubts, and misconceptions about what we're capable of. Disrupting the status quo means breaking down these self-imposed barriers and stepping into new possibilities. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through action. When you take action, no matter how small, you disrupt the comfort of inaction. Action has a way of shaking things up and creating momentum. Think about the times when you felt stuck or uncertain. Chances are, the moment you took action, whether it was starting a new project, making a difficult decision, or taking a risk, we all have voices in our heads. Those whispers that tell us what we can't do, what we're not good enough for, or what we should be afraid of. Sometimes they're subtle, sometimes they're loud, but they're always there, shaping our thoughts and actions. These voices are not always based on reality. They are often rooted in fears, doubts, and past experiences that have nothing to do with our true potential. These are the beliefs we've adopted over time. Beliefs about who we are, what we can achieve, and what's possible for us. But here is the hard truth. Many of these beliefs are nothing more than stories we've been telling ourselves. Stories that limit our growth and keep us stuck in old patterns. Reprogramming your subconscious mind is the process of taking control of these beliefs and replacing them with ones that empower you. It's about shifting your internal narrative from one of limitation to one of possibility. The good news is that this isn't something that happens overnight, but it is something that you have the power to change. The first step is understanding that your subconscious mind is the root of many of your actions. While you may consciously want to achieve great things, your subconscious mind is what drives the majority of your behavior. It stores all of your past experiences, emotions, and learned beliefs, and it operates largely on autopilot. When you make a decision, you're typically not only responding to what's in front of you, but also to the beliefs and memories stored in your subconscious. If you failed in the past or encountered hardship, your subconscious mind may develop the belief that you were not good enough, or that success is out of reach. These beliefs are so deeply ingrained that you may not even realize they're shaping your actions. If you've ever found yourself sabotaging your progress, procrastinating, or hesitating when it's time to take a leap, chances are your subconscious mind is at play, keeping you trapped in those limiting patterns. So how do you break free? The key is to become aware of those beliefs and challenge them. Start by identifying the thoughts and stories that are holding you back. Do you believe that you're not talented enough, smart enough, or capable enough? Do you fear failure or worry that you won't be accepted? These beliefs are often formed by past experiences, negative feedback, or societal expectations. They become so familiar that they feel like the truth, but they are simply stories. The truth is, you are more than capable, more than deserving, and more than enough. To reprogram your subconscious mind, you first need to replace these limiting beliefs with new, empowering ones. This is where affirmations and visualization come into play. Affirmations are positive statements that you repeat to yourself regularly. By affirming who you want to be and what you want to achieve, you are planting seeds of belief in your subconscious. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," replace it with, "I am capable of achieving my goals." Instead of thinking, "I always fail," replace it with, "Every setback is an opportunity to learn and grow." Over time, these positive statements begin to override the negative beliefs that have been holding you back. Visualization is another key element in reprogramming your subconscious mind is to take action. Your mind can't distinguish between imagined experiences and real experiences, which means that when you visualize yourself succeeding or take steps toward your goals, your subconscious begins to accept that reality as true. The more action you take, the more your subconscious mind aligns with the beliefs you are trying to instill. Even small actions, like making a phone call, starting a new project, or learning a new skill, signal to your mind that you are moving forward. The more you act in alignment with your new beliefs, the more your subconscious will accept those beliefs as part of your identity. It's also important to surround yourself with positive influences. People, books, podcasts, or any content that reinforces the beliefs you want to adopt. When you fill your environment with messages that encourage growth, positivity, and success, you create an atmosphere that supports your reprogramming efforts. The people you spend time with have a significant impact on your subconscious mind. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity or self-doubt, it will be much harder to change your beliefs. But if you're around people who uplift you and challenge you to grow, you'll find that your subconscious mind starts to reflect those influences. Reprogramming your subconscious mind isn't about changing who you are. It's about removing the obstacles that have been limiting you. It's about uncovering the truth of who you are and aligning your beliefs with your true potential. It's about creating new stories, stories of strength, success, and possibility that empower you to live the life you were always meant to live. The journey of reprogramming your mind is ongoing, but with consistent effort, the rewards are immense. You'll begin to see yourself in a new light, with a deeper sense of confidence and belief in your ability to achieve your goals. Over time, your subconscious mind will reflect your new beliefs, and the life you desire will start to become your reality. Chapter 5. The Myths of Confidence. Confidence is a trait that many people believe is reserved for a select few. It is often thought of as something you either have or you don't, a natural gift that some are born with and others simply lack. But the truth is, confidence is not something you are born with. It's something you can develop. It is a skill, and like any other skill, it takes practice, patience, and intentional effort to build and sustain. One of the biggest misconceptions about confidence is that it comes from external validation. We often think that if we get recognition from others, if we win a competition, or if we achieve a certain goal, then we'll finally feel confident. But this is the myth that holds so many people back. External validation can be fleeting. It's dependent on others, and as we all know, it's unreliable. Relying on the approval of others for our sense of worth is a dangerous game. One of the most effective ways to build your internal validation system is through self-reflection. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on what you did well. What are the things that you accomplished, no matter how small? What strengths did you demonstrate? By reflecting on your successes and strengths, you reinforce your belief in yourself. You remind yourself that you are capable, that you are worthy of success, and that you are constantly improving. This daily habit of self-reflection helps you stay grounded in your value regardless of external circumstances. It's also important to surround yourself with people who encourage and support your growth. While external validation should not be the cornerstone of your confidence, having a positive and supportive environment can make a big difference. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who uplift you, and who challenge you to be your best. These people will reinforce your internal validation and help you stay motivated, especially on the days when you doubt yourself. They will remind you of your worth when you forget. But remember, their validation should complement, not replace, your own. Building confidence is not about being perfect. It's about embracing your imperfections and recognizing that they don't diminish your value. No one is perfect, and no one has it all together all the time. Confidence comes from being comfortable with who you are, flaws and all. It's about accepting yourself fully, knowing that your imperfections are a part of what makes you human, and choosing to move forward anyway. One of the most transformative things you can do for your confidence is to stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's also the thief of confidence. When you compare yourself to others, you're essentially telling yourself that your value is based on someone else's success, appearance, or achievements. But your worth is not tied to anyone else. You are unique, with your own strengths, talents, and path. Comparing yourself to others only diminishes your own confidence and steals your focus. Instead of comparing, focus on your own journey, your own growth, and your own progress. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small they may seem, and keep moving forward with your own vision in mind. Confidence is a practice. It's something you develop over time by challenging yourself, embracing failure, affirming your worth, and recognizing your strengths. It's about shifting your mindset from one of self-doubt to one of self-assurance, from relying on external validation to building a foundation of internal belief. By cultivating this internal validation system, you will create an unshakable confidence that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. And when you have that internal confidence, nothing can stop you from achieving your goals and becoming the person you're meant to be. Chapter 6. Building your internal validation system. We often look outside ourselves for the validation we crave. We seek approval from friends, family, co-workers, and even strangers. We think that if we can just hear the words we long for, "You were doing great," "You're talented," "You were enough," then we'll finally feel the sense of worth and confidence we desire. The truth is, no amount of external praise can make us feel truly validated unless we first learn how to validate ourselves. When we rely on others for validation, we give away our power. We let someone else's opinions shape how we feel about ourselves. If they're pleased with us, we feel good. If they're critical or indifferent, our self-worth takes a hit. It's a constant roller coaster, and the highs are often fleeting while the lows feel crushing. But true inner confidence isn't built on external sources. It comes from learning to validate ourselves from the inside out. Self-validation means giving yourself permission to believe in your own worth, regardless of what others think or say. It's recognizing your value, your abilities, and your potential without waiting for someone else to tell you that you are worthy. When you learn to validate yourself, you create a solid foundation of self-respect and confidence that no one can. One of the most important aspects of self-validation is learning to trust yourself. When we seek validation from others, we're essentially saying that we don't trust our own judgment. We're looking outside ourselves for approval because we're unsure of our own decisions. But when you develop self-validation, you learn to trust that you are capable of making good decisions, that you are wise enough to handle whatever comes your way. This doesn't mean you'll always make the right choices, but it does mean that you will trust yourself enough to take action and learn from your mistakes along the way. Trusting yourself also means being honest with yourself. If you've made a mistake or fallen short of your own expectations, acknowledge it without shame or guilt. Instead of denying or hiding from your mistakes, own them. Recognizing and accepting your flaws is a key step in building internal validation. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real. When you stop pretending to be someone you're not, you free yourself from the need for validation from others. Learning to validate yourself also involves celebrating your successes, both big and small. Often, we focus so much on what we still need to do or what we've yet to achieve that we forget to acknowledge the progress we've already made. Every step forward, no matter how small, is worth celebrating. Whether it's finishing a difficult project, overcoming a personal challenge, or simply getting through a tough day, give yourself credit for the effort you put in. This practice not only boosts your confidence, but also reinforces the belief that you are capable and deserving of success. Sometimes, the most important validation comes from within. It asks the quiet acknowledgement that you are enough just as you are. When you learn to validate yourself, you free yourself from the constant need for approval from others. You become less reliant on outside praise and more focused on your own growth and progress. This shift in mindset is transformative because it puts you in control of your self-worth. It's important to remember that self-validation doesn't mean becoming arrogant or self-centered. It's not about thinking you're better than others or seeking constant praise. Rather, it's about recognizing your own worth and acknowledging the value you bring to the world. It is about standing tall in your own truth and knowing that you don't need anyone else's permission to feel good about who you are. When you start validating yourself, you begin to see the world differently. You no longer depend on the opinions of others to define who you are. Instead, you become the authority on your own life. You know what you're capable of, and you trust yourself to make the right decisions. You stop seeking approval, and a simple smile can make a world of difference, not only in how others perceive you, but also in how you feel about yourself. Smiling sends a message to your brain that you are happy, relaxed, and confident, even if you don't fully feel that way yet. It's one of the easiest ways to boost your mood and create a sense of confidence, and it's something you can do in any situation. Now think about how these changes in body language can be applied to everyday situations. If you're walking into a meeting or a social event where you may feel nervous, try to focus on how you're holding your body. Stand tall, take slow, deliberate steps, and make eye contact with the people around you. By doing this, you immediately shift your mindset from one of self-doubt to one of self-assurance. You might still feel a little nervous on the inside, but your body language will tell a different story. And over time, you'll notice that when you hold yourself in a confident manner, your feelings of nervousness tend to fade. It is also worth mentioning that body language isn't just for external interactions. It can affect how we feel about ourselves internally. When you change your posture, you change how your mind and body interact. When you adopt a posture of confidence, you send a message to your brain that you are capable, that you are in control, even when you're feeling unsure. If you stand or sit in a way that exudes confidence, you begin to feel more in control of the situation. It is a simple yet powerful shift that can have a significant impact on your mindset and emotional state. One of the most well-known techniques for using body language to improve confidence is known as the power pose. The concept behind this idea is that adopting expansive, open body postures, like standing with your feet shoulder-width apart, your hands on your hips, and your chest lifted, can actually boost your confidence levels and make you feel more powerful. Studies have shown that power poses can increase levels of testosterone, the hormone associated with dominance and power, and decrease levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, making you feel more confident and less anxious. While this might sound like a small change, it has been shown to influence how we feel in a major way. By taking a moment to assume a power pose before a big presentation or stressful situation, you can prepare yourself mentally and physically to tackle whatever comes your way. Another way to use body language to your advantage is through mirroring. Mirroring is the act of subtly mimicking the body language of the person you're interacting with. This creates a sense of connection and rapport, making the other person feel more comfortable and understood. In turn, this can make you feel more confident in the interaction. The key here is to mirror the other person's movements and gestures in a natural, relaxed way. For example, if they lean forward, you can lean forward slightly too. If they smile, you can smile in return. This simple technique helps create a sense of ease and mutual respect, and it's a powerful way to build confidence in social interactions. Mastering body language is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about becoming more aware of how your body language reflects your internal state and making small adjustments to align that with the confidence you want to project. It is about knowing that you have the power to influence how you feel and how others perceive you simply by paying attention to the way you carry yourself. Confidence doesn't come from some external source. It comes from within. And one of the easiest ways to access that confidence is through your body. By adjusting your posture, making eye contact, smiling, and using open body language, you can immediately shift your mindset and project an image of self-assurance. Over time, these small changes will become second nature, and you'll begin to embody the confidence you once thought was out of reach. It's all about harnessing the power of your own body to create a more confident, more empowered version of yourself. The path to improvement often feels daunting. There are big dreams to chase, ambitions that seem just out of reach, and goals that feel impossible to achieve. Yet the reality is that small improvements are not just for tangible goals like fitness or career success. They can also work wonders in your mindset and mental health. For example, you can begin by practicing gratitude each day. Instead of focusing on the negative, start with the small act of writing down one thing you're thankful for. At first, this might feel forced, but with consistency, your brain will begin to recognize more positive things, shifting your overall mindset day by day. You'll find yourself more optimistic and better equipped to handle challenges. What makes incremental improvement so powerful is that it fosters a sense of progress. It can be easy to get discouraged when you don't see instant results. You might work for days, weeks, or even months, and not feel like you've made a significant dent in your goals. But when you look back at how far you've come, you'll realize that every small effort has added up to something much bigger. That feeling of steady progress is what keeps you going when the road ahead seems long. This principle of improvement also helps avoid burnout. We've all been guilty of setting ambitious goals that we expect to achieve overnight, but when we don't see results quickly, we often lose motivation and give up. By focusing on small, sustainable improvements, you set yourself up for long-term success. It's about setting yourself up for daily wins rather than waiting for a big win that might take months to materialize. With this mindset, every small victory becomes something worth celebrating. An important aspect of this process is learning to measure your progress not by how far you have to go, but by how far you've come. Progress isn't always linear, and some days will be harder than others. But if you're committed to showing up every day, even when it's difficult, you'll find that incremental improvements will lead to consistent growth. Tracking your progress helps you stay motivated and focused on the long-term outcome, instead of getting bogged down by short-term setbacks. A useful tool for tracking progress is the idea of setting micro-goals. These are the tiny, manageable goals you can achieve each day or week that move you closer to your larger goal. For example, if you're working toward writing a book, your micro-goal might be to write 200 words a day. If you're aiming for better health, it could be adding one more healthy meal to your week or drinking an extra glass of water each day. The key is that these goals are achievable, realistic, and small enough that they don't overwhelm you. The beauty of micro-goals is that they give you the flexibility to stay consistent while also making room for real-life circumstances. Life isn't always perfect, and you may not always have the time or energy to accomplish everything you planned. But when your goals are small and realistic, it's easier to pick yourself back up after a tough day and continue moving forward. It removes the pressure of needing to be perfect every time and instead encourages progress without guilt. What's more, the practice of small improvements is not just about what you can achieve, but how it changes you as a person. When you commit to incremental improvement, You develop the habit of perseverance. You learn to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it. Over time, this mindset of steady progress becomes part of your identity. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who struggles to stay motivated or achieves goals only occasionally, you become someone who is consistently improving, no matter how small the steps may be. When you commit to the process of incremental improvement, you also become more adaptable. Life will always present challenges and obstacles, but by focusing on small, manageable steps, you become better equipped to navigate those challenges. You learn to adjust your goals, adapt your strategies, and keep moving forward even when the path isn't straight. With each day, you gain more resilience and confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. It is not the huge breakthroughs or dramatic moments that lead to lasting success. It is the small, consistent actions that compound over time. Whether it's a tiny improvement in your physical health, a slight shift in your mindset, or a small step toward your larger goal, those little efforts are what create the big changes you desire. By embracing the idea of incremental improvement, you set yourself up for long-term success, allowing you to achieve a powerful way to start building positive habits is to begin small. Trying to change everything at once can be overwhelming and counterproductive. Instead, focus on one habit at a time. Choose something simple, something that feels achievable, and commit to doing it every day. It might be something like drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning, journaling for 5 minutes before bed, or spending 10 minutes each day reading a book. The key is to pick a habit that is small enough to stick with but impactful enough to make a difference in your life. As you begin to build these small habits, it's important to track your progress. Monitoring your habits helps keep you accountable and allows you to see the improvements you're making, even if they seem small at first. Use a habit tracker or a journal to mark off each day you successfully complete your habit. This simple act of tracking can be incredibly motivating and reinforce the behavior, making it easier to continue. One of the most common reasons people fail to stick with new habits is because they try to do too much too soon. It's easy to get excited about self-improvement and think that in order to succeed, you need to make huge changes. But the truth is, small, consistent actions are far more effective than drastic, short-term efforts. When you focus on building one small habit at a time, you allow your brain to adapt and create new neural pathways. Over time, these small habits will compound, leading to big changes in your life. Another critical aspect of habit formation is consistency. It's not enough to simply do something once or twice and expect it to stick. For a habit to truly take root, you need to repeat it consistently over time. Studies show that it takes on average around 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. This means that in the beginning, it may feel awkward or forced, but if you stick with it, it will eventually become second nature. The key is to stay committed, even when it feels challenging or when progress seems slow. The environment you create for yourself also plays a significant role in habit formation. Our surroundings have a huge influence on our behaviors, often in ways we don't even realize. If you want to make a positive habit easier to stick with, set up your environment to support that behavior. For example, if you want to eat healthier, keep healthy snacks readily available and remove temptations from your kitchen. If you want to exercise in the morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before so you're ready to go. The more you make your environment work for you, the easier it will be to form and maintain your desired habits. As you start to build new habits, it's also important to be patient with yourself. The process of habit formation is not always linear. Some days you might miss a habit or struggle to stay consistent. This is normal. What matters is that you don't give up. It's about progress, not perfection. When you slip up, don't beat yourself up. Instead, reflect on what happened and use it as an opportunity to learn and adjust. Remember, the goal is to keep going, even when things don't go perfectly. The more you practice, the easier it will get. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce a habit is by pairing it with something you already do. This technique is called habit stacking. For example, if you already have a habit of making coffee every morning, you can stack a new habit on top of it. Maybe you decide that while your coffee is brewing, you'll spend 5 minutes doing a quick stretch or reading an inspirational quote. By linking a new habit with an existing one, you create a natural trigger that makes it easier to remember and follow through. Over time, as you build more habits and reinforce the ones you've already established, you'll start to notice significant changes in your life. These small daily actions may seem insignificant in the moment, but when compounded over time, they can lead to massive transformation. You'll begin to see improvements in your health, productivity, mindset, and relationships, sometimes in ways you didn't even anticipate. The secret to long-term success lies in these consistent, incremental actions. The beauty of habits is that they give you the power to create the life you want without having to rely on willpower alone. Willpower is limited, but habits are automatic. Once you establish a routine, you no longer need to force yourself to take action. The behavior becomes ingrained in your daily life. This is why it is so important to focus on building positive habits that align with your goals and values. When you make progress every day, even in small ways, you create a life that reflects who you want to become. Ultimately, habits are the building blocks of transformation. They are the small, everyday actions that shape your future. When you master the art of habit formation, you unlock the ability to make lasting changes in any area of your life. Whether you want to improve your health, grow in your career, or cultivate a stronger mindset, it all starts with the habits you create today. So take a moment to reflect on the habits that are currently driving your life. Are they serving you? Are they taking you closer to where you want to be? If not, it's time to start small, stay consistent, and build the habits that will take you to the next level.